Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're starting on the Phalaenopsis side, and we have a lovely one in bloom here, and that's off this beautiful one here. But we're not doing it about this guy here, we're doing it about its neighbor, which I'll show you in just a second. But first I want to show you how this guy is sort of in the pot and hanging down, very natural looking. Kind of right beside the fogger, right under the heater, so in the winter, like lots of heat comes up this way. The fogger's right here, so it's very humid. When the heat comes on, the fogger usually comes on because the heat is dry, right? So anyways, something bad happened this winter. Not to this guy, which is doing perfect, to this guy here, which is right beside him. The angle was wrong, and the fogger pooled some water into the crown, and I got crown rot. So that kind of sucks. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about crown rot. Not a fun topic, but you can see here, there's the fogger going off, and you can see the relation. And so it was dank, dark winter, and I guess water was pooling in here more than I knew it. And yes, by the end of the winter, one of my phals had this awful crown rot. So today's topic is going to be crown rot and what we can do to prevent it, because there's not much we can do to fix it. So let's get started on that. I'll bring this guy out. Alright, so I brought him out, and basically, yeah, he's from my hanging wall, so he hangs on the hook of the back. I had to put a little pencil under him, just because of his angle. He wanted to keep falling off. But I noticed him this winter, and so the first thing I did was I tried to dry him out with a paper towel, because my mistake was keeping him wet in the crown. The water just sat there. And as you've seen from the first plant, that's kind of how they hang in nature, so that water wicks off. We grow Phalaenopsis upside down. The point of the plant is supposed to be facing down, not up, so no water gets a chance to pool into it in the first place. So if you are spraying your plants, or you are watering your plants from above, you need to make sure there's never any water sitting in the crown for a prolonged period of time, which I didn't even realize was happening. It was just happening with the fogger being so close to it. So what have I done? This has been like this for 6 months now. I honestly don't even think the plant knows that it's dying or dead. It has amazing healthy roots on it. Nice new roots are coming out. Even newer roots down here, if we can turn them around here. It's pretty sad. You can see right there. Nice new root. Doesn't even know. A bunch of dormant roots are down there in case needed. It's bloomed so many times for me, you can't even count these spikes anymore. But yeah, I don't hold a whole lot of hope for it. So the first thing I did was I dried it off, and I used my secret ingredient, which is not so secret, which is cinnamon. Cinnamon is a good antibacterial, and I applied it into the wet, festering rot, and kept it bone dry, as dry as I possibly could, and just let it dry out. And it did stop the rot. So I was hoping that it hadn't gone so far that it was just going to like push out a new leaf, but so far it's been 6 months and there's been no new leaf. You can see if you look closely, there is green down here. So I haven't totally given up hope that it could push something out slowly, but it's very, very doubtful. I wouldn't bet money on it. So yeah, that is my dilemma. So what can I do differently? Well, like I say, the reason you get crown rot is because water sat in the crown, and I let it sit there. It wasn't totally my fault, although it was, but I just didn't notice it happening. And it was obviously happening to the plant closer to the fogger as well, but it was hanging this way, the water was able to drain out properly. And this one had just enough of an angle that it sat like this, and water was able to pool in. So, what can I hope for? Well, best case scenario, it hasn't gone deep enough that it pushes out a new leaf right there. That would be best case scenario. Worst case scenario, nothing's going to happen at all. But eventually I think what will happen, because it is a fairly healthy root system to it, it's going to produce a keiki somewhere. It's going to want to grow. So my guess is it's going to come out from somewhere in around here, and it's going to start producing something new for growth. But we're talking, this could be years again before it gets big enough to bloom on its own. Although I could even see like a new bloom spike out of this one, out of this leaf here where my thumb is wiggling, because I don't think this thing even knows it's dead or dying or doesn't have a growth point. So yeah, basic trick though, cinnamon is good for most bacterial infections of some kind. Although it's not needed right now, I'll do a demonstration here. So when I found it, I dried it off the best I could. I put cinnamon on my finger like so, and it was kind of black and mushy at the time, and I just mashed it right into the cut. Now doing this now is certainly not going to hurt anything. And I did a couple treatments, and I just mashed it right in like that. And just left it. And over time the cinnamon went back away, and I was left with what I was left with. I think I only needed one treatment, but I'm sure I would have done it a couple weeks in a row sort of thing, just to make sure. And I would have left it like that until I was really sure that there was no more infection in there. And then if you want, I think over time it just slowly got rinsed back out, but you could take it to the sink and rinse it out. And then this just needs to stay bone dry from that point on until it pushes out new growth, or pushes out growth somewhere, or it just dies. But yeah, this is basically worst case scenario for Phalaenopsis orchid. It can lose a leaf, and a leaf will grow back. It can lose a root, and a root will grow back. It can lose a flower spike, and a flower spike will grow back. If it loses its crown, it won't grow back. So I'm lucky. If this was more severe, the rot, which I caught I can't call it in time, but I caught, would have gone right down into the plant if untreated, and just like all the leaves would have fallen off, and it just would have been completely mushy. So again, it might have been a little bit cold. It was winter time. It might have been a little bit dark. They don't have supplemental lighting in here in the winter, so it wasn't growing vigorously. It wasn't getting hot enough to dry it fully in the daytime. And yeah, I think on its own, those two wouldn't have done it, but the hydrofogger right beside it, all the humidity did it in. So anyways, I hope you learned something from my lesson here, and you don't have to go through this yourself. Remember to keep the crowns dry. If you accidentally water in your crown, take a paper towel and just wick it back out. Paper towels are very non-destructive. You don't want to be tipping the pot upside down or putting something too heavy, like a big face cloth or something in there to dry it. So that's usually enough, and then just have a fan or good air circulation going, and that should solve all your crown rot problems. Anyways, I hope you liked this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. As always, thanks for watching.